Hello and welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast with your host, metaphysician, Reiki master, and hypnotherapist, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week, we will discover teachings, tips, and tools to radiate your best life ever with practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate?
Hello and welcome back to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. Today we radiate color. And I am such a color geek. We're here with Jules Standish, who's considered one of the UK's leading color experts, the head of color at the London College of Style, and author of How Not to Wear Black and the Essential Guide to Mindful Dressing. She's appeared on TV, The Lorraine Kelly Breakfast Show, Chrissy B. Wellbeing Chat Show, and BBC Southeast 6 o'clock News. Now, Jules is also the author of A Colorful Dose of Optimism, Prescribe Your Own Happy Colors to Feel Good Now. Jules, thank you so much for joining me today. I've been excited to have you on.
Oh, I've been excited to come on. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. So let's dive right in. How did you even get started in understanding the power of color?
Well, I, about 16, 17 years ago, decided to embark on a styling course because I loved colours and fashion, and I spent so much time styling with my friends. I thought, yeah, I'm going to go and get qualified. It's quite important to me to feel that, you know, I've really understood how to do this on a professional level. So I found a course down in Brighton and the first thing they said to me was, well, Jules, that's great, but the way we do things here is we really would like you to do colour first. And I sort of, I went, okay, well, if that's what I need to do, I'll get the colour done really quickly and move on to the styling. Anyway, so I had to do 20 case studies for my colour course. And I learned all about the history and the theory, the psychology, and it was so fascinating. And I got to case study number 5. And I remember seeing this person in the mirror, and I was experimenting and they didn't know what to expect. And this smile just appeared on this person's face, and the energy of this person changed. The skin looked healthy and glowing, and the whole persona changed. And I watched this energy shift, as well as the way their appearance just looked so much healthier and more youthful. And I just thought, wow, this is really powerful. I've really got this. And so I absolutely love the colour. In fact, when I got to the styling bit, I thought, I'm just going to add that on because that's my add-on. And I then spent 5 years practicing everything, really. I was then out doing colours and styling, personal shopping, and I incorporated all of it to help people really just understand how to wear their clothes, their styles and colours that help them. And then I wrote How Not to Wear Black because I was just so bowled over by how many people loved to wear black, particularly women, and how many people really didn't suit it, and how draining it can be to our looks and our energy for those of us who really don't belong to the what I would call the cooler palette and the personality type that really suits it. So I wrote it not having any idea whether anybody was going to love it or not. And it kind of put me into a different stratosphere of colour and sent me into the media and a public platform. And I just found my happy place, And so now if I'm asked to do styling work, of course I can talk about it and do it, but colour is my absolute passion.
Now, this is beyond, I think it was the 80s, we saw, Dress for Your Season. So this is beyond that. So what can we expect from just changing up our colors?
So you're right. I mean, wow, we have so many amazing, particularly leading American ladies who brought, some fantastic color seasons and color analysis into the world, and certainly brought it over to the UK. And we're very thankful to these amazing women for really pioneering color analysis. I particularly, the course that I learned was particularly based on Bernice Kentner's work, and she really put personality with seasons. And for me, when I learned all about it, it just felt so holistic because there's no point really for me sending someone out into the world who's very introverted in bright, hot colors, who really don't want to walk into a room and everyone to go, wow, look at, Sarah or Tom, or in lots of, a bright orange suit. That would make them feel incredibly uncomfortable. Equally, someone who's very extrovert and who likes to stand out and make an entrance, you wouldn't put that person in a lot of very dark, invisible colors for them. So to me, tying in personality with seasonal genetics is a very important part of allowing each person to be very uniquely themselves, very authentic in their own way. Color is very personal to each individual. You might love to wear, lots of red, but actually somebody else might choose to wear a different shade of red and maybe in a different quantity to you. So whilst you might feel really comfortable going out one day in a red jacket and a skirt or trousers, there's other times equally when your mood might make you feel that that's too much. That's too much energy. That's too much standout for Christy. So therefore, maybe just a red shirt with a neutral jacket is how you feel that day. So I think it's not just about matching colors to seasons and personalities, but also your mood. So that's where the psychology then comes in. How are you feeling, Christy? Are you really tired? Do you need that boost of red to give you energy? Or perhaps it's too much and actually you need calming down because you're feeling quite anxious about, I don't know, something you're doing at work or maybe communicating with someone, and you actually need to get into a more calming zone and feel less anxious. And then you would go into the blues and the greens more. So when you put the whole thing together, you get what I would call a wonderful world of color that then every day you consciously and mindfully choose the best shades and the amounts and how you put them together, color combining too, how you do that. And that's kind of what I've tried to do with a Colorful Dose of Optimism. I've put the whole package together and allowed you to find your own happy space within your world rather than, dictating to you how that should be, allowing you to choose that.
Right. So Jules, how does the optimism piece play into this?
Because I really believe that in this day and age, I think as a planet, we've all been through so much. And it really struck me when I was writing this in lockdown that, we really don't have control over everything in our lives. We like to. And it's actually that sense of a loss of control that sends a lot of us, I think, I'm speaking for myself personally, but also people I've worked with, an anxious place that we don't feel in control. But actually, we're not entirely in control of an awful lot of things that are happening in our world. But we can take control of the colors that we wear that have an impact on our moods. So when we think about how we see color, the wavelengths of light and how they affect us, they do have a physical impact on us. So the wavelengths of light that I'm looking out my window now and seeing lots of sunlight coming in at the end of the day, but it's sort of very warming and I've got lots of greens. So when we look at green, it's quite restful. It's sort of midway on the spectrum. And that's quite restful on our eyes. And when we see color is light, and about 80% of what we actually see goes towards our eyesight. But there's about 20% that actually goes through the photoreceptors at the back of the eye and is absorbed by the glands, our glandular system. So the hypothalamus in particular, which is a gland of heat and metabolism, and can affect our adrenaline and our moods. So the reds, the longer wavelengths of light, those colors are very headlining, they're very standout. So red is that color that's used for danger, for passion, the color of blood, hearts, beating hearts. It is that color that really makes us take notice. So when we wear lots of red, we are going to stand out. You put someone in a red outfit and a black outfit, obviously the person in the red outfit is going to get noticed. But red also does increase our adrenaline. It is possible to do that with red. So if you're feeling tired, we can use red. So we go through all the colors in the spectrum, and the opposite of that, of course, is blue. And the blue skies, the blue seas, when we look at that, blue releases a calming hormone. So it has the opposite impact. So when we talk about optimism, it is unique and individual to each of us. And we have to look at culturally how colors are viewed differently all over the world. So how we might see white in the West is very different to how it might be seen in certain countries in the East. We have to be incredibly mindful of culture worldwide. The one thing I think that we can all universally share is nature. So the blue sky that makes us feel happy when it returns, the green in nature that is calming and restful on our eyes is refreshing. We think of in springtime all those new shoots that are coming up. That's all offering us new beginnings, hope for the future. And so I think when we think about the colours that are around us, that affect us on that physical level, and then we look at the emotional relationship we have with colours. So you might have grown up, had a really happy holiday somewhere and slept in a beautiful pink bedroom. So that shade of pink might always evoke happy memories for you, and it might then be Christie's favourite. Equally, you might have had a very bad experience wearing a colour, and you might think, that's a colour that really doesn't make me feel good. There are shades of every colour, so I always encourage everyone to explore those and not to rule out a whole spectrum of colours based on one bad experience. But you can see my point. It becomes very emotional. And hence the reason colour is so individual. My happy place, my favourite colour is orange. Yours, Christy, might be that shade of pink. So our favourites will make us feel good when we wear them. But the brighter, lighter shades, the more vibrant shades, they are the ones that have an instant impact on our eyes. So I think when we're talking lighter, brighter shades, as we have in the summer, those are going to have more of an impact than the darker shades, and how we necessarily feel in the darker, colder months when we get less light. Sad is a thing, isn't it? It is. Some people really suffer from.
Yes. Seasonal affective disorder, of course.
So I think we have to look at the impact that the brighter shades. We have a big thing over here at the moment called dopamine dressing. And it is all about wearing these bright, kind of bold, and even neon shades that everybody's wearing to really try and get everybody's mood boosted and uplifted. It is a major kind of fashion statement over here at the moment. I don't know if you're having this in the States, but it's a big deal. People are really trying to increase their optimism by increasing the dopamine, the feel-good hormone in the brain, by wearing colours that make you feel good, get you complimented, which I think we're all, I know I speak for myself, it's hard sometimes to be complimented. But it means that if someone says, wow, you look well today, that's a compliment. That means you're looking healthy and probably wearing one of your best colours.
Exactly. So how does wearing the colours affect us?
So wearing the colours, how they affect us, because we are all, it would seem, genetically predisposed to either being on the cooler spectrum or the warmer spectrum, depending on our inherited underlying skin tone. So generally people tend to fall into the cooler categories, and that's the blue-based colours, or the warmer categories that have the yellow-golden base. And once you've understood that, and that is a very basic draping system that again was, brought into our worlds by those amazing American ladies that we talked about earlier of colour analysis. So we, in order to ascertain what someone's genetics are accurately, we do need to put colour drapes up against the face without any signs of makeup, hopefully with hair off the face, because, we all, not all, but we do tend to change our hair colour, particularly as we age. But, we like to mess around with our colour, and sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not, and we have to work with that. So you put the drapes up against the skin, and that way you can really ascertain where a person will sit in a palette. And then you have to ascertain whether that person suits the stronger colours. So you might, in the darker skin tones, suit the much stronger colours, or someone with paler looks might suit the softer, more delicate colours. It really depends where someone is on that palette. And again, that is something individual. But the genetic science behind it is a genuine thing.
Right. So your book, A Colorful Dose of Optimism, how is it meant to be used? So how does the reader use it?
Okay, so I have put together a diagnostic system, which is very simple and easy to use. It's like a perfect plan, really, to find your happy colors. So you can work through the questions that ask you and hopefully determine your skin tone, so your genetics. Then you go into a set of questions that look at your personality and ask you questions about your personality traits. And once you determine that and discovered what season you might fit into and what appeals to you and what you think suits you, then we go into the psychology of the colors and when you might then choose to wear one of your colors for any given time for an event to make you feel good. So I've kind of put it all together so that then leads you into your happy colors and details what all those happy colors might be. So whether they're bright or muted, soft or vibrant. And then I've gone into how you can really start again. So how do you look at your wardrobe in a different way now you know what your happy colors are? Because, you know, it's very sustainable, and this kind of key word that we're in, but actually, if you know your colors and you get them right, and you open the door every morning in your wardrobe, and the only things that are there are the colors that really suit you. So your neutrals, all your best shades, all your colors in the right styles, they're there. So there's no defaulting to something because you bought it, you don't particularly like it, but it's the only thing you can think of because it's easy, it's convenient. You know that it's not a color you're going to have to worry about anyone commenting on. So, and I think this is why so many people do end up wearing black and some of the darker colors, because it's that lack of knowledge and help. But if you open your door and you've got all those colors, they all go together in some way. So your neutrals complement you. Then it's a matter of what are you doing that day? How are you going to put things together? How might you color combine some of those things? How do you feel? Do you want to clash? Do you want to harmonize? And the book really leads you to that. So it's all about creating a happy wardrobe for you. Mm-hmm. And then how to wear it to work. So whether you're on a virtual Zoom, which I think so many of us have now learned how to be on a Zoom, but you know, you've still got to look good. You've still got to present your own image in a way that really lights up the screen so that you're memorable, so that, you know, you're giving off all those happy vibes to other people watching you. Color is something that we all see in each other. So we want to encourage other people to feel good. And obviously going back into the workplace, how to shop online, which again has become a really big thing. And then how to find your colorful comfort zone. So a lot of us have, you know, really got into the comfort zone, but, you know, how to not always think about being in the gray zone, gray tracksuits, you know, how we can really up the feel-good factor with some colors in our casual clothing. And then I finally done color in the home, really taking your personality into your home, using your color palette mindfully to boost your mood every time you walk in through your front door, and also what mood you're trying to create in each room and how you can do that with different colors psychologically, what they'll help you to do.
Right. Now, I know that, you know, there are color forecasts for each year, each new season. I used to work at Hallmark, you know, the greeting card company, and we'd have these are the color palettes for this year. This is the color palette for this summer. And so how do we operate when, you know, the trendy colors might not be the ones that we particularly gravitate toward?
I think it's a really key question, and it's in fashion as well as it is in homeware. And actually Pantone, as you know, I'm sure being in America, are the kind of leading color specialists, and they spend huge amounts of time researching, you know, the zeitgeist and of the world and what's going on in art and culture and fashion, and they bring that to us. And this year we've got this incredible sort of periwinkle, bluey purple color, which of course is incredibly inspiring and creative, and you know, really interesting that's kind of the sort of the leader of the orchestra, this kind of blue. And blue, of course, is one of the world's favorite colors, and maybe that's because we're all surrounded by, you know, the calming, comforting blue skies and seas. It's a sense of trust that we know that however grim the weather, the sky is going to be blue again. But that is kind of leading in fashion. Now, what's really interesting about the Pantone colours is they forecast every season and set a trend, certainly on the catwalks. And in interiors, you've got all the different paint companies, and they all put out their favourite colours. I have to say that in fashion this year, fashion in particular, I would say that green is probably the biggest colour trend that I have seen. I worked with a brand last week who's actually an accessories brand, and their entire store, they've just rebranded their London flagship store in green. The whole shop is green. Incredible, the energy that you feel being surrounded, like you're outside in nature. It kind of gives you that incredible sense of freshness, and so amazing. It's very personal, and I think it's good to understand what the trends are, and it's kind of interesting to understand why they're there and how they can help us and how we can tap into them. But it's a bit like understanding that if you fall into, let's say, the spring season, and the spring season palette is going to be warm and bright. When you come into spring, all your spring colours are going to be available to purchase in the shops, whether you want to do your home, there's going to be loads of spring stuff going on. But what happens to a spring palette and a personality when winter comes along? So does that mean the springs then go and buy all the winter stuff, but then it sits in the wardrobe for the rest of the year because they've gone and bought a palette that doesn't really belong to them? And the key thing is to always remember to wear your spring colours, but maybe when you go into winter, you need to tone them down with some neutrals because it's just too much to go out in your brights, but those neutrals need to be yours. So I think the key thing is, again, with the trends, is embrace them, but always make sure that you're following your own heart and your own intuition, and also the knowledge of what your best colours are, and then pull those bits of fashion or interiors in that are trends, because don't forget, next year the trends will have changed. Exactly. The amount of money you would spend changing everything up because the trends change, whereas if you stick with everything that really suits you, you can add those little bits in. Depending on your budget, you can go small, you can go large, and then if you love them, they stay, and if you don't, it was a trend. But hey, you've got your best colours, they're still there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sometimes you go into a shop and all of the selections are in this color that's a new color, new trendy color, and it doesn't necessarily look great on everybody, right? So that it makes it kind of hard when shopping. Now, Jules, what about people who are colorblind or vision impaired? How does color affect them?
I mean, this is a big question, and I'm not a scientist, but I do know, having trained certain students who've come to me and said, I don't see that colour the way you're seeing the colour. And I remember having a student who actually did say, I can't see that as a blue. I see that as something completely different. Wow. And, we are all individual, and, we all need to embrace our own uniqueness in that way. And I think if someone has a different view of colours, then it's very important for them to find those colours in their world that make them happy. And they might not be like your colour, your favourite might not be mine. I think that everybody has to be treated in that way as equal. So therefore, it is about the colours that they can see that bring them that instant hit of energy maybe, or calmness. And then that might be in a different way to ours, but that's the way that their colours are viewing it. So their eyes are viewing it. So, it can be very individual. When we talk about the wavelengths of light and how they affect us, it's kind of general. But of course, you're going to have individuals. I actually did work with someone who was partially blind. And I remember her coming into my training class, and I said to her, look, if you don't want to come up and be demonstrated on, I'm very mindful of how you would like to be treated, and how do you see this session working for you? And she said, no, I'd like to be treated equal. Thank you very much. That's just great. And I would like to come up and be demonstrated on for everyone to see the best colours on me. And I can see colour to a certain extent. So I will be able to participate in probably not the same as everyone else, but to me, that will be my participation for me. And it was fantastic. And she looked amazing in all her colours, and she was able to see them to an extent, enough for her to feel the difference when she had them on. So it's very powerful. And I think even in a really small way, I always say, even if I've helped someone change into or find one colour that they love, it might be just a really small thing that I have helped someone to embrace in their world of colour. So I think everybody, that person who is partially sighted, hopefully got as much, if not more, out of it than someone who just took one colour away as a new colour.
Oh, that's fantastic. Right, because it just literally opened their eyes to it.
Exactly. That's a great way of saying it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that Radiate Wellness is more than just a podcast? That's right. We're also a comprehensive, holistic wellness practice. Find out about our services, practitioners, and upcoming events at radiatewellnesscommunity.com. While you're there, visit our podcast page to read more about our great guests and even donate to the podcast. If you like our podcast, you can help in other ways as well, like subscribe or follow us wherever you're listening right now. Tell a friend, a family member, or a coworker about the great content you find here. And if you wouldn't mind, please give us a thumbs up, a 5-star rating, or a positive review. Sounds like a small thing, but it really helps. You might like to know about our Facebook communities while we're at it. We have a free community, the Radiate Wellness Community, on Facebook for news and great free content. Our subscribers group is Radiate You, as in the letter U, but also, well, you. There you'll find curated replays of past classes, guest interviews, and more. And now, back to our podcast and back to our guest. Now, there are certain colors that we wear that we really feel great. We feel empowered and bold, etc. Could people perceive us a different way than how we perceive ourselves in that color? It's like, in other words, is it the eye of the beholder that creates this effect?
So that's a great question, isn't it? I mean, when we wear colours, they have an impact on those around us.
Right.
And it's kind of like projecting an image. Again, I worked with a student who had never worn yellow, and her palette, actually, when she had been analysed, included a very bright yellow. And she reported back, she'd been at work, and she said, I wore my new yellow coat because I thought she went large. She went yellow coat rather than just a small, yellow lapel on her shirt, which obviously this is a personality thing. That was her personality. She went big, went coat. And she said, honestly, everybody was smiling at me. And she said, at the end of the day, I had to sit down because she said, I just couldn't. I was so overwhelmed by all the smiles. And the woman sat down next to me and I said to her, I'm just getting smiled at all day. And she went, well, I'm not surprised. It's your yellow coat. She said, it's so bright and sunny. It's having an impact. And she went, yes, you are so right. I literally have been blown away by how obviously I've made everyone smile. And the thing about smiling, is, there's science that's been done on smiling. Even if we don't feel like it, if we smile, it does actually release some of those happy hormones, just the mere physical act of smiling. So if you think that we can have that impact by wearing a colour on other people, that is powerful. And I often get asked, what should I wear to an interview? It's one of the top questions I think that I probably get asked. Mm-hmm. And it's a really interesting question because, blue is kind of time and time again voted the world's favourite colour. And there are many shades of blue to suit everyone. And blue's qualities are amazing. It's the colour of communication. We think of the throat chakra and we think of communicating. It is the colour of trust, diplomacy, It shows that you're a good team player. It means that you're going to turn up for the job, that you can be relied upon, to get the job done. So it has so many incredibly positive properties. The darker shades of blue, the navies, they're very corporate based. And if you think about navy, it is that traditional conservative color. The lighter and the brighter you go, the more playful blue becomes. So would you wear an all navy outfit? Well, if you were maybe going into a corporate firm, or like a law firm or a finance business, that would be probably very appropriate because you are giving that conservative traditional in its totality. However, if you were going into a more creative environment or a more casual environment, wearing those lighter, brighter shades will actually give a different sense of blue because they are more vibrant, probably more playful, more fun-loving. So, and then, if you put that blue with red to show that you're driven and passionate about the job, suddenly there's a combination going on that projects a different image that your interviewer is picking up from you when you walk in. So, I think that if that person going for a job interview walked in a bright red trouser suit, would be fabulous if they were going into a very creative, maybe a media base. But the impact that red's going to have on your interviewer is going to be quite standout. Like that person likes to make an impression, likes to stand out, probably likes to lead. So, you've got all these things that come across on a very subconscious level of colours that we are wearing, because of course we're projecting our image onto those people who are seeing us. So first, going out on a date with someone, going in a black outfit, of course, very popular. You're keeping your emotions hidden, maybe for the next date. So if that's who you are and that's what you are trying to do, then great. Equally, you might want to go out wearing a lot of orange because it's a color of sociability and adventure. So if you want to project that about your personality, that person you're meeting is probably going to feel that the moment you walk in. Is like, whoa, that sunny, warm color is what you see.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can imagine that too, like you said, the cultural expectations and the cultural views on color can have something to do with that as well, and how we're perceived even, I think. I
think culturally we have to be very mindful in this world. We grow up in an environment where we are, from the moment we're born, we see colors around us in our environment and nature. But each country has its own patriotic flag. Each country has its own political party colors. Each country will have its own traditions. And those traditions are what we all grow up in. And it could be religious, it could be just, it could be tradition, it could be political, as I've said. There are so many different reasons for that. And, I teach online classes with students all over the world. I have people from the East, I have people from Australia, I have people from America. They all get up at all different times to come on our lives, which is amazing for us to see. But it's the first thing that I say is that, guys, this is each relative to where you are. We have to be mindful of that. And then we move into the next layer of how color affects us physically and emotionally, and obviously on the color analysis level. But, color in branding, it's the same thing, isn't it? If you look,
exactly.
Let's think of Coca-Cola, because we all know Coca-Cola is that white on a red branding. It's energizing, it's exciting, it gets us going. That red, that's what it's all about. So, McDonald's, for instance, that big, joyful M, yellow, that kind of instant hit of warmth and sunshine and joy and happiness on a red, fast food, energizing, get going, go in, go out, take it. And then, look at the difference now in their approach in Europe. They've certainly now are trialing, or I think it's been around for ages now, the green McDonald's. This is the more environmentally aware McDonald's.
So sorry, what was that? A green McDonald's?
Yeah, we have green in Europe. There are green McDonald's branding.
My goodness.
Yeah. So I don't know whether there still is. They trialed it. So forgive me, I don't know, because I haven't been to Europe recently, obviously, as you can imagine. But it was that, that whole kind of enterprise as to when we go green is associated with environmentally friendly, eco-friendly. And in this world that we're in now, green is it's a big nature color. So people who are, in that brand world, we think of Prada, the black, the authority, leadership. Prada is very much, sees themselves as the high end of fashion, and black has that image. So it's very key, and it's all around us. It's really how conscious we are of it. I think it's really fascinating. Certainly my students start to say, crikey, how do you cope with, going on the tube and looking at everybody? Don't you want to do all their colors for them? And I said, yes, it's quite interesting.
Okay, but I was a little bit concerned with coming on with you with this kind of burnt orange color. I know it's not my color, but I love the style of this dress that I just bought, and they didn't have it in any other colors. So I was a little bit intimidated, I'm not going to lie.
It's actually a really beautiful color. I kind of see that as it's kind of chestnut, isn't it? It's a really rich, beautiful, like a terracotta,
like a burnt
with that kind of conker color behind it. And it's, that's a very grounding color. So I think it's interesting, and it goes beautifully with all the highlights in your hair. And, we look at skin first. When I do the genetic color analysis, we look at skin first. And it's why, we need to tie the hair back, because that might be natural, it might not be. So I have to strip everything back down to basics, and then we build it back up again. Mm-hmm. Thing is, if someone has, dyed their hair, let's say because they want to create a different look, so their skin might tell me it's belonging to one genetic palette, but their hair is saying something else. Now, They don't want to change their hair, they want the look. So therefore, what I would do is give them their genetic palette that suits them best against their skin, to make them look younger and healthy and youthful and glowing and, get the energy high. I love all that. But if the hair color is really opposing the natural genetics, then simply, and actually dyeing one's hair very dark can be one of those, or very, very light. So you kind of go, let's say you're in a warm palette and you put yourself into a very cool palette. I would simply say to you, if you dyed your hair jet black, I would say, right, fine, wear black away from your face. So you've got the harmony then with your hair and the jacket, or the colors that you're wearing, away from your complexion. Because that's what you potentially would be saying to me. I want this look, so help me to create it, but still looking attractive and healthy and well within it. And this is where color becomes incredibly individual, because I would work with you. I would be telling you, it's not your best, but you want it. It makes you feel good. So let's make it work for you.
I like that, because I do wear a lot of black myself. My daughter does a lot of black, and it's not for everybody, and there are ways to look good in it and ways to not look good in it.
I think the other thing is color is therapy, and an awful lot of people love to wear black. And if I tell them, no, it's not your palette, you can't ever wear it, I will send them into therapy. And that is the opposite of what I am trying to do. So if it isn't something that you should be wearing head to toe, that's really okay. Let's find a way to make it work in your wardrobe for you, that you stay happy, but that you keep yourself looking good and feeling good too. So I think there is a way to do it. I'm not kind of within that, you absolutely have to stick to that palette. And also, as we age, and our color fades, and I get a lot of people saying to me, I feel invisible. My hair's gone gray or white, and I've gone into all these pastel shades because that's what's happened to my coloring. And I think it's even more important in a way to then stick to colors, whether they be bright or muted or, whatever suits your palette, to keep you feeling good about yourself. Why shouldn't we all feel good till, we're well into older, at any age? Color knows no boundaries where gender or age or ethnicities come into it, which is why I love working with colour so much. There are no boundaries to it. And at any age, we should feel good about ourselves.
Right, absolutely. Of course, I approach color from more of a spiritual and therapeutic background as a Reiki master, and the importance of, the colors that we're visualizing as we're releasing things, the colors we need to bring in to strengthen certain chakras, etc. Do you work with that at all?
For me, when I am doing colors on someone, I very much feel the energy of the colors when I put them on certain people.
Right.
It's something I've kind of always felt from when I started it. I was able to really be able to feel it and help the other person really see it at the same time, because it's, to me, color is an energy. So it's not just about the colors we see, it's how we absorb it too. So I'm entirely with you. And I've always thought yellow was such an interesting one because, where everybody loves to wear black, yellow is the color, particularly for women, that they are scared of. And when I first qualified, I remember going up and down my local high street with a clipboard, stopping people in the street and going, "Do you have any yellow? How do you feel about yellow?" And they'd all say, and I love yellow. I've always enjoyed wearing yellow. I have to wear a certain golden shade. I can't just wear any yellow. And they'd all go, "Oh, Jules, you look great in it." But no, it doesn't suit me. And I can't wear it. And I've got this yellow dress sitting in my cup, but I can't get it out. And, I see yellow as, it's a very stimulating color. And it's the most the most visual color on the spectrum. So it's kind of got that instant. That's why we...
Right.
Yellow in our world, that is that, high-vis jackets that we see on people who are cycling and on railway lines and stuff. It's yellow. It's out there. We need to see yellow. It can be it can be quite stressful on the eyes too. If you wear yellow a lot, or you see a lot of yellow, you'll probably need to go and sit in a calming blue or green room just to calm yourself down, because it's very stimulating. So sleeping in yellow, I always kind of say, be mindful of how much yellow you have in your bedroom, but it's a great color to have in a study or a child's playroom, because you will get a lot of mental creativity going. But going back to this, certainly this female thing with yellow, I kind of came to the conclusion, and certainly from doing lots of color analysis with yellow, was that I think we kind of lose our way in the world sometimes, because we give to other people and our families a lot. And yellow is the color, as you know, of the solar plexus and the emotional center. And this lack of self-confidence that happens, particularly at a certain age, I found quite poignant. And so I kind of like to help people understand how to wear yellow, because I think it's a really powerful color of self-love. And even if we can wear small amounts of yellow, I think it does us a lot of good.
Right, absolutely. Just having the vibration of these different colors is very therapeutic. And I think it's important for that to talk about color and its importance.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I also think that, this is where you can overdose on one color. And I know that orange for me is my favorite. And I love nothing more than an orange trouser suit when I'm talking, because it really gives me lots of energy if I'm doing a speech to people. Mm-hmm. But I have to try and put some balance with it, because, it will make me feel very adrenal. And so balancing it with some blue or some calming colors is very good for me, because I understand that I need that balance. And I think that we can, it's a bit like, having sunstroke. If you have too much of any color, too much blue can make you feel, actually, and particularly in the darker shades, can actually make you feel a bit low. Too much bright light and it is very hard on the eyes. So very into color combining. I talk a lot about it in my book, because it's about balance too. I really believe, and I'm sure you know this better than anyone as a healer, we need balance in our lives. And sometimes more than any other time, it depends what we're going through emotionally and physically, how important the balance and how we choose to balance colors. Are they next door to each other on the color wheel? So are they friendly? Are they good neighbors? Or do they sit opposite on the color wheel, and therefore they are bolder and they're kind of more challenging on our eyes? So what we would call the colors that clash. So very, very bright red with very bright green, they're quite hard to put together.
Yes.
Whereas if you wore bright red with very dark green, it automatically changes the dynamics. A bit like turquoise being worn with bright orange. If you wore navy blue with peach, it completely changes the dynamics of those color combinations. So that's, again, down to your palette and also down to your personality and what you're doing.
Right, and who you're with and the situation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So your book, A Colorful Dose of Optimism, does that help the reader to determine their color palette, or do they need to see a color?
Okay, so yes, that it absolutely does. What I have created with this book, and I'm thank you for asking me that, because it's an exciting part of where the book leads you. So I wrote the book as a guide. There aren't any images in it because I didn't want people to be carrying around a book when they went shopping. So what I've created from the book, when you've read it and determined your color palette, there is a link from the book to a unique website that I have created with all the images, some of the images that belong to your color palette, but that give you a really good sense of your palette. And from that, there is a link to download, it's a one-off purchase fee, a fan that you can keep as an app on your phones forever. It's only a once in a lifetime thing, with over 100 shades of your colors. So when you go shopping, wherever you are in the world, you can literally open up that app and you will have 100 of your best colors. So for you, it might be different shades of, you know, those blues that you love one day, and then you might want to put them with your purples or whatever it's going to be. They're all going to be there rolling and scrolling down your fan forever that belong to you. So you can choose your favorites, you can combine them, you can do whatever you like with them, and they'll be from the softer right the way through to the stronger. And I'm really excited about that. So basically, the book is a guide. You get your colors, you understand your palette, and then put this lovely app onto your phones, and then visually you will have that forever, and you won't need to carry the book around. You will have that on your phone. So I'm very excited about that. I think it's a great thing for me to be able to offer all the readers. It's a kind of natural progression. You've got to be able to see the colors, but I really didn't want to put it in a book that would age, that would get ruined, that was bulky to take out with you. I wanted it to be digital and available anywhere.
Right, and with the four-color printing process, it's very difficult to make sure that that color matches and is consistent across print.
It's so difficult, Christy. It really, really is. And I know that because we create our own fans, you know, at the school where I teach, and with the, you know, it's a really difficult process to be entirely accurate. And so to have an app where you've got all of those colors there that you can literally, for buying your interiors, your makeup, your clothes, it's just there, and in all your best colors. So, and I think to have 100 different shades to choose from for each palette is amazing. You know, that's hard to get on a fan. So, you know, a handheld fan. So to have it on the phone is really key for me.
Yeah, that is beautiful. So is there anything else you feel like we haven't covered, haven't discussed concerning your book?
I think the important thing that that I would like to get across to everyone now is this whole thing of self-care and how we can all look after ourselves better. I think one of the things that's come out of the last few years is our reliability on other people, you know, has been quite strong. Certainly, I know that, you know, when we had to stay in, it was, I couldn't go and see my, you know, my therapist, the people who help with my acupuncture and stuff. I had to do this all myself. And so thinking about how we could help ourselves in ways that helped us to feel in control. So creating a color prescription to prescribe those colors that make you feel good and in doses that suit you every day became quite an important part of how I, you know, understood it and tried to make it a better place for myself and for others. And so the book is a healing book. And if anybody gets some joy out of it and discovers their own happy colors and brings them into their world, then I know that I've done a good job.
Wonderful. And do you have a website where we can go for more information about you, your work, and what you've got coming up?
I do. It's www.colorconsultancy, which is spelt the UK way, COLOUR, consultancy.co.uk. That has got a link to the book if anybody wants to order it. It's out 27th of May, as you know. So
nice.
It's available on all online sources. And there's information on my other books. And it also does give you some information on color psychology and some color analysis on the website too. So there's lots there for everybody.
Yes, I'm looking at it now. It's a lovely website full of
thank you.
colors. And then there are great photos of you in all these different colors. And it really does just change your personality. It just changes your approachability, just livens you up, all these different colors. So it's easy to see how this works. That's really nice.
Well, thank you. Yes, I redid it last year and felt that it was really important to reflect the book. And you're right, color, it's not just about you having one color, it's about you having a rainbow of colors, and it's the rainbow that is so healing in its capacity to choose all those different rays at different times that make you feel good. But knowing the shades that suit you, that can make a massive difference to your wardrobes. It can really save you a fortune. And I think that's well-being too, is understanding that you have to live to a budget and how you do that best. And that is, having a wardrobe that works for you, literally works for you, whether you are at home, at work, whatever you're doing, it has to work for you. And you don't ever have to make those expensive mistakes again. And we've all done it. They're sitting in our wardrobes, but it doesn't have to happen again. And I think that is, again, being mindful of expenses and where we're going in the future, to be able to just have those wardrobes and just add in those bits as they come in fashion and trends, as we've already talked about, when you fall in love with them and they work for you. That's really exciting, being able to build a wardrobe on the colors that make you feel good and energetically raise your vibration, and that you understand that you can control that sense of calm or energy whenever you need it.
I love that. So once again, the book is A Colorful Dose of Optimism, Prescribe Your Own Happy Colors to Feel Good Now by Jules Standish. Thank you so much, Jules, for joining me today. This has been enlightening, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you for being such a great interview. You asked some amazing questions, and it's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you.
Thank
you. Radiate Wellness is an international community of holistic and alternative healers dedicated to helping you create spiritual, energetic, and physical well-being. To learn more about our practitioners, services, classes, and events, or to schedule an appointment, visit us at radiatewellnesscommunity.com.